We're still learning about technology. I start again. Welcome everybody. Nice that you could all make it to our live stream. Today we are doing it a bit different than last time, where we don't make a big video call together. Instead, you can post your questions, and you're already chatting quite well in the live chat and ask us things and post comments and things like that. So we will start with some presentations, some very short presentations to give to just kind of introduce you to the SDIA and what we've been up to and give a little recap. But before we go there, I would first like to introduce the team that's going to do this with me today. First is Julie. Hello, Julie. And then we'll bring
Hi.
Lasse on the stage. Hi, Lasse. And Mo. Welcome, Mo. This time with no audio problems. Thank you for pointing it out. So welcome everybody again, also from us. We will start with the first agenda point, a short presentation, introduction in the SDA. As promised, we will keep it very, very brief. And then you will hear from the team in a minute. Here we go. And presentation. Do it like this. The SDA, I'm sure half of the people in this video call know us already, but it never hurts to give a short introduction. The first and the most important one for us is the word sustainability and sustainable in our Digital Infrastructure Alliance. It's not a synonym for being green, in our opinion. When we talk about sustainability, we talk about the three pillars, so profits, planet, and people, or economic, environmental, and social aspects. So that's what we are trying to create, a sustainable digital economy that is sustainable on all three of those pillars, and not just the environment or the social aspects, but all three. That being said, short recap of who we are and what the context is that we're operating in. I think we all agree, everybody in the digital realm agrees that now is the time for digital technology to make its biggest mark on the future, meaning that almost all the problems we face today in society and on the planet can be solved by digital technology and most likely will be solved by digital technology. But that also gives us an enormous opportunity to create a completely new economy that is based on not on burning fossil, on using rare minerals or metals or things like this, but that is based on knowledge and the internet in itself. At the same time, every government, I'm sure also most of you know this, have the climate crisis on their radar, and they have digitalization on their radar. And I think we all agree that that somehow kind of goes together. And last but not least, the IT sector and the digital sector can really take a leadership role. Like I said, digital technology will help all the other industries address their pollution and emission issues. So it should do it for itself as well. But most importantly, it should take the pioneering role as it has in the past. Who are we as the SDA? We started 1.5 years ago in Hamburg as a German nonprofit, but designed as a European platform. We are now 11 employees, 4 board members, lots of advisory board members that we're very, very proud and happy of. Since last week, since we joined forces with Green IT Amsterdam, we are now 55 members across Europe. And our mission, the most important aspect, is to bring all actors from the digital sector together, jointly create a roadmap, and then execute that roadmap. That being said, like I said, I'm looking forward to some questions. Often we get this question, right? Sustainable digital infrastructure for a sustainable digital economy. What does that mean? What is your definition of sustainability? And like I said in the beginning, it comes down to these 3 pillars. It's about environmentally being positive, not just neutral, but actually helping, for example, integrate more renewables or reducing or bringing back resources into the environment rather than consuming them. It's also about accessibility and fairness. So the cloud, the digital economy creates a lot of opportunities, economic opportunities, and they need to be accessible to everybody in an equal way. And the third aspect, which is very close to our heart, it's a little bit similar to the one before, but it's if if the digital economy spans across the entire planet and the entire globe, it really needs to be designed that it's inclusive by design, let's put it like this, and that it creates prosperity for everyone that it touches. Yeah, some concrete practical examples also from a lot of questions we get in the past. What does that mean again? What does that mean in practice? What will a sustainable digital economy look? Three great examples. First one is that everybody actually has access to what we call digital power, so compute, storage, and network. That a circular economy for digital infrastructure and its components is actually the default and not something we, still have to talk about. And the no-brainer, of course, everything should be powered by renewable energy, not just the data center or the networks, but also the end customer devices, so that the end-to-end chain is really free of any emissions. How do we make this future happen that we design? Very simple. We have a strategy, of course, and like we said in the beginning, it consists of bringing everybody together, creating that plan together, and part of that plan, which is very important, and Lasse will most likely touch on this, is that it's less about developing solutions, because actually I think you all agree that a lot of the solutions are already there, technologies are already there. It's often that there's obstacles and challenges in the way of implementing them. And so we use our working groups as a forum to identify those challenges. Can be policy, can be a lack of technology demonstrations or pilots. And we bring those challenges to our labs. And I'm looking forward of Mo touching on that. Is where we address those challenges through also through communication, but also through actual work and in our work in our innovation labs, for example, in Amsterdam, and ideally eventually also commercialize those solutions, so that we really from end to end address the problem of creating a sustainable digital economy that lasts. Now, last one, very important to us as well, is that so we are not a data center alliance, nor are we representing a single industry by itself. We represent a sector, and it's the digital sector, which consists of the energy that goes in, the data centers that bring the fiber, hardware, and IT together, the networks, and all the way up to the digital economy, which are the applications that actually sit on top of the digital infrastructure. So we span the entire spectrum, because for all the people that that don't know, their software and its infrastructure, they must play well together in order to reach the sustainable targets that we have set. And yeah, no single entity on this map can actually do it alone, and that's what we learned over the last couple of years. With that being said, of course, we have a lot of really wonderful supporters that are committed to our roadmap, that are committed to our interpretation of sustainability, and that are helping us implement it. Since last week, we also joined forces with Green IT Amsterdam, so we have grown in size. And now, yeah, quick break. Sorry. I can talk a lot in an endless flow. This topic is very important to us and to me personally, and that's why if you ask me questions about this, we can talk for hours. Just reach out to me. I think the next what I want to do, an idea from Julie, and I think that's it's brilliant, because we have been going quite fast in the last 1.5 years. If you think about going from 0 members to 55, if you look at our reach and the amount of papers and work that we've published, it's quite astonishing with the amount of the little team we have. And so we thought we'll highlight a few of those accomplishments from the last year. In total, last year we've added 32 members. We've grown by 7 people. We've done a lot of remote work. We are remote by design, not by coincidence, and very proud of that. So we're always remote. We've also launched our new structure, which is why you're now going to see more and more of our roadmap team, our communications team, and our innovation labs team. That we made it a bit more explicit how we organize ourselves. We launched our roadmap actually more towards the end of the year with more than 21 activities, and are starting now the working groups. and we already took part in a lot of research projects, that helped us clarify our thinking and already develop a lot of input that goes into the roadmap. And we've also grown, of course, a very important metric always. We thanks to you, we have grown to almost 1,000 followers. I think we will hit that still in January, the 1,000, and then we throw a big party, I think. So with that being said, I would like to the stage again, Lasse, Julie, and Mo, to give a little bit of to give us their highlights for 2021. So I'll bring you all back. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Thanks for coming back. So maybe we take it from the top. Julie, maybe you can start and to give us your highlights for 2021.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. Max said something in the beginning, and now it's the time. And indeed, now it's the time to effectively communicate everything that is happening, not only in this sector, but from a member's point of view, from an innovation point of view. There are so many things, so many opportunities right now across all the digital sector that we need to effectively communicate. And within SDIA, we have 3 pillars to communicate effectively and turn ideas, projects into innovation project, into commercialization of results. And so we do that with 3 basically strategic points. We want to inspire people. We want to raise awareness on the sector, on all the innovation that is happening. We want to engage with members, with organizations, but also individuals to also effectively bring this knowledge up to the world and to turn this knowledge to Mo for projects, to Lasse for working groups, because we are completely linked into everything we are doing. And finally, we are also creating opportunities by educating people and organizations to really pave the way towards a sustainable digital infrastructure. And so now it's the time, and not today, not tomorrow, now.
Very much, Julie. That was very well put. Lasse, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. All right. Yeah, so as you might have seen, we have successfully launched our roadmap to sustainable digital infrastructure in 2020, and that covers various challenges along the whole value chain. If you want to look it up, it's on our website, right in the navigation, the roadmap. It covers various challenges along the value chain, with more than 20 activities aligned to improve certain key sustainability metrics. And in 2021, our ambition is to fill these activities with life, forming the first working groups around them, guiding the path for the SDIA in more detail, and with that also for the industry. What comes out of these working groups will also have an input on the direction of the SDIA, on communication campaigns, on projects, and so on. And as you see on our roadmap in 2021, we launched first activities, which will be, for example, consume renewable power for data centers, leaner cooling and heat utilization for data centers, and the digital carbon footprint, which we find very important to also further align and plan our path. We are in the process. We are backing up these activities with the outcoming results of our working groups, of our projects and communication campaigns to really improve this central plan and make it even more valuable for the industry. And with over time, new versions of this roadmap will appear. Together with our members, we will tackle one challenge after the other and really make a change with that. If you are interested in joining one of these working groups, we have a first few coming up for this quarter, opportunities of hydrogen-based backup power. So basically replacing diesel generators and making, finding additional opportunities with fuel cell-based technology, for example. like I said, we want to elaborate the digital carbon footprint to especially, evaluate scope 1 and 2 emissions of data center operations, but further improving that and going more down and upstream of the value chain. And excess heat utilization from data centers. And those are just the first 3. We have 4 or 5 more to come in the Q1 and Q2 of 2021. And yeah, like I said, reach out to me if you want to participate in one. I'm sure you will find the perfect working group for your expertise and your interests of your company or your individual ones. So yeah, that's it from me so far. Yeah.
Lasse?
Yeah.
Thank you, Lasse. What I want to do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lasse. I'll bring Julie also back. And Mo, would you like to go next?
Sure. So as Max pointed out in that circular diagram at the start, a lot of what Lasse does in the working group, they identify challenges. And some of those challenges can't be solved with policy recommendations and discussions. Some of them are more specific and often need a funded solution. So the role of the labs in particular, which has just started this year, is to ramp up those project-based solutions. So that means essentially research projects. As Max pointed out, we're operating on 7 projects currently. We hope to double that by the end of the year. Ambitious goal. But this is where basically a lot of the so people often ask me what's the difference between the lab and the working group. And the lab takes more specific problems which require specific solutions and pulls in specific funding. That's essentially the difference. The working group is where things live more permanently, where it's more of a continuous operation and continuous work with continuous outputs. That's essentially the difference between the two. It's very exciting because this is I think the first. This is a first for us to develop this lab and to take a lot of the challenges that Max pointed out and that we all know, and sort of turn those into solutions. And that's my role. In terms of how we do it, I guess you could say there's always a triangle. There's always the idea or the solution, the consortium that's needed to deliver the solution, and then the funding body that's required to fund the solution. And so this is the difficulty is trying to get those 3 elements to align perfectly at the same time, at the same point in space. And sometimes that's difficult, but that's what we're trying to do. Shortly, in the near future, on the website, you'll see a lot of the projects that we're interested in undertaking in the first part of this year. So Lasse mentioned hydrogen fuel cells. That potentially also will be spun out into a project, but there are other ones coming up with, for example, a sort of digital carbon footprint, so a way of actually measuring digital resource consumption. But there are a whole host of other elements, so you'll be able to see that on the website and also potentially propose your own. So that's the labs is where a lot of the funky stuff goes on. So back to Max.
Thank you, Mo. Very nice summary. Really excited about the labs, personally, I have to say. Same as I was excited for the roadmap last year. So, questions. Since this feed is about 30 seconds delayed, we're really excited about your questions, but I will throw the first question into the group here to get the conversation started. What's the topic that gets you most excited about at the moment in digital infrastructure? And I see in Lasse's face an answer already coming. So Lasse, you can go first.
You mean really what, like for example, what technology excites me most? Yeah, yeah, you know it. You've always known it. I think coming from the energy sector and from renewable energy originally, really what gets me going is the heat utilization of data centers. I see it as a major way to drastically reduce emissions in another sector for the heat supply in this case. And of course, the idea of completely powering data centers with green energy, which is in some locations easy, as you have a lot of green power, especially when you have hydropower available. But it's more difficult, obviously, in areas where there's little renewable power available, or there's just volatile, fluctuating power available. But also for those situations and locations, you have solutions that are, I believe, better, prove better than the actual ones right now, the current ones. And I think it's our job to move this forward and to always find the best solution for each individual location, application. And yeah, especially those two topics are really exciting me.
Nice. Thank you very much. Sounds exciting. Renewable energy is indeed probably one of the most exciting topics of this decade, I would argue. Mo, do you have anything that gets you really excited at the moment?
Yeah, I do. There's two things that I'm really interested in pursuing this over 2021. So the first is some sort of transparent reporting mechanism, right? I think transparency is something that we need, but it also brings about accountability. So once we have that element of transparency, consumers can hold producers to account, and trade bodies can hold bad players to account. Journalists can hold bad players to account. And currently, there is no element of transparency, and that's part of the nature of the industry, right? It's what is a workload, so it's very hard to define. So that's part of the thing. So one of the projects we're working on is to define that, and then to be able to measure and account for it transparently. That's something that I think that would be a game changer for the industry. And the second thing, more on the engineering side, is the ability to link the hardware, the software, and the facility. And sometimes that's difficult because co-location, there's different business models in this space, but getting all three levels to sync, I think there's a huge amount of efficiency that could be derived if we could link those three. Often they work in complete silos. So those are the two big ideas that I'm interested in. Obviously, there are many ideas that I'm interested in.
I think we all know that your curiosity. To our audience, we still need some questions. Please, if you see the chat on the right side, throw something at us, comments, questions. You'll get featured in this live feed like this. Thank you, Michael, by the way, for this wonderful comment. So we'll bring you live on this live feed. We also can't wait, Michael, to work with you and to explore the opportunities, by the way. Thanks for joining. And for everybody else, please, give us your questions. Otherwise, we will keep talking like this for another 2 hours, and you don't get your questions answered. So shout away. Don't be shy. Julie, now to you. What gets you the most excited in the digital realm at the moment?
Yeah, for me, I will also go with what Mo said and take the policy aspects of things, because policy really shape everything that we can do. Not only make sure that there are structure in place to enable innovation, but also as a way to also improve the existing aspects of the sector. And so policies and actual policies, not only self-regulatory, but actual policies, is really important as well to implement. And this is something that we are also exploring at SDIA. So I'm really looking forward to that. And there is another thing that that really struck me for the past years is circular economy. Circular economy and all the circular principles applied to the IT sector really uncover so many opportunities. And I was actually shocked to find out that it's really limited amounts of recycling in the not only the servers, but also in the servers when we speak about the critical metals. But I'm always positive person. So when we look at a problem, there is always a solution. And even with this, I'm really optimistic that circular principles, circular by design, will become also one of the preeminent trend for this year. And we are actually looking now at a lot of new policies coming from the sector, by the sector. So this is really promising to see in the next months.
If I can add to that as well, one of the things when we developed the roadmap, one of the things we realized, which is that the sector is avoiding the resource consumption element.
Yeah.
There's a lot on energy consumption. It's avoiding resource consumption and e-waste and recycling and refurbishment. So that was an area that became apparent to us when we did the roadmap, and I think that's gaining traction for sure.
Great. We got our first question. Very exciting. Thank you, Wouter, for this. I'll show it to the panel here. So cool stuff. What are the key players, partners that might help you accelerate your ambitions? So maybe each of us can. I think we have 20 types of companies in our head. I think the first thing I need to say, and I want to say, is that we already have an amazing membership base of very diverse companies from across the entire value chain. So from software companies that build really the future of technology, down to component manufacturers or cooling system manufacturers, and the data centers in the middle. But yeah, I'll let the team answer the question. Do you have any ideas for companies or industries that could help us accelerate our ambition?
Maybe I can start. Looking at the roadmap and the corresponding working groups to the activities, I think it's clear that we need a very broad group of people with different backgrounds. The SDIA approach was always a cross-industrial approach with expertise from all different sectors, and we also see that all these problems cannot be solved by one industry. That's the silo thinking that we're trying to avoid. So a broad group, a broad working group with expertise from every sector. If we're looking at hydrogen-based backup power, for example, of course we need somebody for the technology. We need somebody to provide green hydrogen, ideally either on site or transported there. We need somebody to steer the backup power engine to also provide in times of maybe grid shortages and steer that on the market base. We need the data center to be aligned with the whole thing, of course. So there basically everybody that you see in such a project. And then it's also, and that is, I think, what Julie already said, the policy aspect, right? These business models still need to work in their environment, in their business environment, and this business environment is heavily influenced by existing regulations, which might not always fit the future system, right? The future system that we all want to go to, and therefore this aspect is really important to elaborate future policy and regulation frameworks.
Julie, what do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree with what Lasse said, because it's all about perspective. One player can have different needs compared to another one, so it's all about getting to the same table, discussing the topics from various perspectives and understanding also each other. The first step towards uncovering innovation is actually to discuss what do I want, what do I need, and how to make this happen. So basically, it can be sometimes very simple to say that we all need to discuss, but this is what actually works, and this is what we at SDIA are doing right now with our working group. We want to include as many stakeholders, from big companies, from individuals, from small companies, to trigger these discussions and to make sure that everyone also have a say. Because when we talk about the future, and you clearly said it in the beginning, Max, it's all about being inclusive, and so everyone's words needs to be taken into account. And it's all about collaboration, and we are facilitating those discussions and those collaborations. So it's a great platform.
Thank you, Julie. Nice answer. Well, what do you think?
Yeah, so I agree exactly with what Julie and Lasse have said. We need everyone from every industry, every sector, right? So there's no partner we wouldn't want. But what I would also say, to go a little bit deeper, is there's also a certain type of person within the companies that we are looking to sign up. So I would say probably off the top of my head, there's two types. There's the sort of business management or business development officer who understands that, who asks themselves, well, what if we could do it like this? This would unlock potentially future financial benefit for this company or that. So that's, future value that we could unlock. But then also the second type is the engineer who goes, well, what if I could do something like this, or I could design with something like this in mind? And Lasse and I have met a lot of engineering persons, particularly in the energy space and power engineering space, who have that little spark of, if we did it just like this, then we could save this much, but I can't do it in my company alone. I need a platform to help me, or to share it with, or who can force it through, and I can then contribute on behalf of the company. So that's to answer the question. I think the question was aimed at what sort of companies we're looking at, but we're also looking at for people within those companies.
Thank you, Mo.
Yeah.
A really great answer from all of you. I think the overarching theme that I hear, and that I can summarize maybe, is that it's about collaboration across the entire system, and that requires every system participant to be there, from the chips, semiconductor manufacturer, to the people that operate the buildings, or that even make the cement of the data center buildings, to the people that run the fiber, all the way up to the people that write the software. I think that's what we've always advocated for. That's why we are the Digital Infrastructure Alliance, because we act across the entire digital system. And I think that is also the way how we will get things done effectively. There's a great statement here from Richard Stern that I would like to show. Richard, thank you very much for adding it. I think that's a very nice observation, that data center efficiency has stalled, or seems to have stalled, and we need to keep striving to push new data center technologies before governments force us to. I would like to hand this question immediately to Mo, who I think has an opinion on this, and then maybe also get Lasse's input on this as well.
Yeah, I think so. You probably referring to PUE, but that's not the only metric of efficiency. And actually, it's difficult because it's hard to define a functional unit of work. So it's really hard to define what is the ultimate efficiency. We've taken the approach that there's many types of efficiency with respect to energy consumption, with respect to greenhouse gas production, with respect to pollution production, and so on and so on. So from all elements, we're trying to make it more efficient. Specifically with respect to PUE and like compute efficiency, I think virtualization brought with it a huge amount of efficiency over the last 10 years. The hyperscalers led it, and I think it's becoming more popular. And so utilization rates within servers have gone up to, I think, approximately 60% in the best cloud data centers. The question is then, how do you tap that next 40%, and what technologies could take us there? And that's the sort of thing that we're working on. I don't really know so far.
Great answer, Mo. Lasse, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think Robert Hofnagel just posted also that there's a distinction between the sustainability or the facility and the IT. I think efficiency is important in both aspects. Like Mo already hinted, the virtualization has brought with it big efficiency gains on how you utilize the IT hardware and so on. But there's still a problem with it, that you don't have energy proportional computing in data centers. So a server that runs on 10% load still uses like 60% of its maximum energy input, and if it runs on 80% load, it uses like 90 to 100%. So there's like, you're not getting much useful work out of it, but you're still consuming like half of the maximum power, or even more sometimes. So that is a problem. And then there's the approach on, and that what I think we're getting more into, that the facility still has big also big potential to improve, and that it's not just cooling, but also like finding proper ways to use to reuse the energy that comes out of it. So yeah.
Thank you, Lasse. I would add one small observation that I think came when we originally launched the roadmap, and for all of you to literally address the question that you are asking, Robert. Thank you, by the way. So how do we plan to bridge the gap between IT and facility? I think, yeah, one of the reasons why we choose the metrics that you see on the left side on the roadmap on our website. So energy consumption, kilowatt in kilowatt hours, CO2 equivalents, pollution, electronic waste, and the others. You is to unite everybody around the same set of objectives, and that those objectives are objective and not subjective, so that we can all make improvements both in the IT space and in the facility space, and can measure that based on the same metrics, which should, and that's what we're hoping to facilitate, bring everybody together, because we can only get these metrics down if we collaborate across the entire system and the entire value chain. And I think that's what we've been advocating for quite some time, and I think with some success, I would claim. And I hope that we can invite more and more people to the roadmap to collaborate with us. And yeah, Michael comments that it's also applicable to procurement, and I think that's exactly the point we're making, that it's applicable across the entire chain. And it also, the CIO of a large corporate, by writing sustainability into an RFP or into a proposal that they're asking for, and making and attaching objective metrics to it, data centers need to respond, which means that the equipment manufacturers that provide the data centers need to respond, the hardware manufacturers need to respond. Everybody needs to then do their part, because we all know that the efficiency gains in each silo are limited, and to a certain extent are already reached, as Richard already pointed out quite well. Good, Julie. Do you wanna add anything to the collaboration aspect?
Yeah, it's so what you all just say is that when we have a diversity in stakeholders, and if we have challenges now, it's because we don't speak the same languages. And you said it, because we don't speak the same languages, we need to make sure that there is a place, a platform to enable and to facilitate this discussion, and policy metrics, they speak to everyone, and everyone is more or less able to understand what is the outcome and the expectations from this. And so by making policy metrics and often the results of a project available and understandable by anyone, clearly we can make sure that we will all speak the same language at the end of the day, and that we will bridge the gap, not only for what Robert highlighted, or Michael, but in all across sectors. And this is the start. We just need to facilitate this, and yeah, it's a step towards the future.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you, Julie. And I would suggest, since there are no more questions that are coming in, I would like to, first of all, thank the amazing panel. Thank you all for coming. Very happy that Mo, Lasse, and Julie, that you were here to comment and ask questions. I hope we can do this again soon. And as you, I hope, starting to notice, we are willing to answer any question that comes up. We're very open for discussion, open for your comments, open for your questions. And yeah, we really enjoyed hosting you all. Thank you all for joining. And we hope to see you soon. Follow us on LinkedIn. Come join us, join the roadmap. Reach out to us. We are open for collaboration and for conversations in general. We're always very curious. Very good.